Hey everyone, welcome back.
What's up, guys?
We have Ben
Yes.
here. We're live from Creative Cubes. You might actually remember this guy from a current affair. Current affair last week.
Look, this microphone's a little bit too far away for me to grab, but it was definitely fun.
Well, you know, I actually feel like you've come in here for me to interview you, but you did such a stellar job on a current affair last week.
I don't want to put everyone out of business.
I think I should sit here and you can interview me.
Look, after I saw that video being aired on a current affair, you maybe want to explain to the people who don't know what it is.
We'll put it in the description below, don't worry.
Oh no. Anyway, but the idea was that I was worried people were calling me when I woke up with that hangover, and they were like, "You're on a current affair." So I was like, "Oh no, what did it look like?" But when I watched the video, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's not so bad." Actually, it was all right. Yeah. So I guess that was the conclusion of the story.
So for those of you that did miss it, not many people in Australia did miss it. A lot of people saw it. Ben was at the races, and a current affair showed up to interview people, asking them all the rest of it. And Ben took the mic. What was his name?
Martin.
Told Martin that he's doing a horrible job and that he could do better, and so he took the microphone off him and continued to actually do better.
Well, I guess the reason why I did that was to kind of prove a point that access is available to anyone who wants it, and all you need to do is be brazen and just have that little bit of liquid courage if you need it, or whatever it is that gets you going. But nothing is too much. You know, if you want to access something, if you want to make your mark, it's definitely within your reach.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point that we should double click on. You know, today we're standing in front of an iPad that's broadcasting to 3,000 to 5,000 people.
Yeah. On
a tripod, and a iPhone that's going to be on YouTube for people to watch for the years to come.
Oh, it's amazing to be able to utilize the technology of today. And last week I went to see Gary Vee.
Yeah, I was going to ring Gary up. He gave me a call after.
Oh, did he?
No, he didn't.
Well, look, I'm a very big fan of his. Not so much for the content, but much more for his entertainment and his captivating spirit.
Yeah.
But something that he did say was that we've got to be taking advantage of all of these platforms. So whether it be YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, and something that Creative Cubes is really, if I may say, I'm noticing you're really deploying all of your efforts into those platforms, and that's really the way of the future.
Yeah, so I mean, Gary actually surmised it really nicely. Historically, he surmised it really nicely, and he was huge on Snapchat. We talked about Snapchat a couple weeks ago. I've deleted Snapchat. I just don't think it's a product that's sort of getting the attention that...
I haven't used it already for a while myself, yeah.
Yeah, so actually we had a whole conversation with Josh from corporate advice. But what Gary is saying, and really the reality of all these social channels, is that they are what Channel 9, Channel 7, Channel 2,
Correct.
Channel 10
100%.
were back in the day. The attention, the eyeballs that are going on these social platforms is way more powerful, and as a brand, as a company, you need to be where the eyeballs are.
I couldn't agree more. And I think aside from that, the ability to know how to do anything, if you go onto YouTube and you search something, what's the most commonly searched item? It's how to something, right? Everybody wants to know how to something. So what you're going to be doing is finding your how to something. If you go onto Google, every single skill out there, you could find out information about it. That's why Gary Vee hated school and all that kind of thing. But the idea is there's nothing there that we can't learn aside from the emerging technologies, which we need to be on top of, and they're forever changing.
Sure.
So all of us need to be deploying as much of our talent, skill, time, and concentration onto these emerging technologies, because that in essence is where we will have a competitive edge, which is very important.
Yeah, and the power of social today, you can surmise it as social. The power of technology today is everyone has a voice. Everyone has the ability to amplify that voice with their followers, their users, their fans and whatnot. And it doesn't rely on a huge celebrity.
Not at all.
To do it anymore. Gary Vee is a guy that started Wine Library back in the day. He was a vlogger. He was putting YouTube videos up about wine.
Now he's the hottest talker on the market. So yeah, for sure. I think that it's important not to be influencing for the sake of influencing. Yeah. I think you've got to have a real. Everybody has that angle on everyone else, right? Yeah. You've got something which you can give to everybody else. So you've got to find your channel, find your medium, find your voice, and tell your story properly, and that ultimately will be the way that you can connect to your audience.
Yep. So, in speaking on that, there's a couple of things that I really want to highlight. You've got a pretty strong voice, in my opinion, on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I see your updates quite regularly. The reason why I brought Ben on today's vlog is, there's a lot of stuff that small businesses can be doing from an R&D and a taxation opportunity perspective.
Definitely.
I know nothing, but this guy's the king of the space. So have we got some off-the-cuff top hits ideas or?
Oh, definitely. Well, look, in terms of the R&D and the government funding side of things, so I work for a company called Catalyst Solutions, which we're global incentives consultants, just with regards to government funding, and particularly R&D. And the reason why I spend a lot of time in the startup and tech sector is because one of the areas in which the R&D tax incentive is applicable for is the ICT space. And the only thing that I'd say is, for those of you who don't know what the research and development tax incentive is, it's a very lucrative government funding opportunity for the money that you spend on any sort of research and development, as long as it qualifies as research and development. If it's in the technology and science sphere, you're able to claim a significant amount of money back for whatever it is that you're already spending. Extremely lucrative, and if you're running at a loss, which most startups are running at a loss, you're able to claim it back as cash inside your bank. So definitely very lucrative, and I'm always happy to have a chat about any government funding opportunity. But within the software space, there is a big misconception that these kind of incentives are just something that are routine and they're easy and whatever it is. But you're dealing with the tax system, right? Now, I don't know if anybody watching is an accountant, but you know that corporate tax is the Australian corporate tax is the most complex tax system in the world. And it's not something you want to be mucking around with. And the software space, where people are developing software, it's very difficult to really identify, is it R&D, is it not R&D, are you running an experiment, are you doing something which is innovative on a global scale? There are so many different elements which are hard to be across all the time. And when you just put something in, you might be able to get your money back, but for 4 years, that money could be held on top of your head.
Sure.
And if you're a startup and cash flow is important, you want to make sure you're really dotting all your I's, crossing all your T's. So in terms of R&D, it's not a simple thing. It's not something that you just say, any provider, just do it for me. You want somebody who's breathing it, who lives it, who understands every intricacy, and they can make sure they're comfortable with whatever it is that they're claiming for you.
Yep. Yeah, and historically, I've had some amazing success with grants. As part of Export Marketing Development Grant.
The EMDG. Yeah, correct. Another really lucrative one.
Yeah, but critical that you get your paperwork right, because as great as it was while I was on it, as a small business, I didn't have the skill set or the financial ability to employ someone to be able to go and execute my paperwork and make sure it's all neat and tidy.
Look, government funding is all about compliance, red tape, bureaucracy. There's a lot of things that need to match up. The government aren't just going to hand you some money.
Yeah,
Sure. So you've got to be able to make sure everything that you're claiming can stack up.
Yep.
And tax fraud, playing around with tax is significantly bad.
Yep.
And your business, if you're trying to catapult your business into the success stories that of Facebook and all the other ones, the Australian ones of Canva, all these great companies which have really taken off. If you want to be there, then don't try to cut the corners when it comes to these incentives. They're available to you, but do them properly. And it's very easy to lose sight of that.
Couldn't agree more, and that's the whole purpose for this vlog today, is to really identify this opportunity as well as the pitfalls. I'm going to link Ben's LinkedIn in the description. I'm also going to link his website or company's website so that you can find out more information. Is there any crazy stories, any amazing stories that we can share with people just off the cuff, or?
Well, in terms of government funding, so we typically at Catalyst work with the more federal level government funding opportunities, and we take innovative businesses on a bit of a journey. So if you've got your great idea, it starts off at the research and development stage, and there's government funding available for that, which we just spoke about. Once you move forward on that particular project, you've got to get that prototype out to the market. And there are certain sectors and there are certain ideas which the government are ready to back and commercialize. And there's an incentive called accelerating commercialization,
Mm-hmm.
which is dollar for dollar
Yep.
of up to $1 million. So extremely lucrative to commercialize your product. And then what you mentioned before, once you've commercialized it, Australia is a pilot program.
Yep.
If your mindset is limited to Australia, I had this chat with a few different people, and I think the consensus is we're lucky in Australia because we're able to define something here, but we really need to think bigger and broader than just our market here, because it's not big enough to test properly. We've got to, if you really want to create your $1 billion business, you've got to solve a 1 billion person problem.
Yeah, I agree.
And that 1 billion person problem can only be affected including overseas. So,
you have to be thinking outside of sort of continental Australia.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even go beyond that unless you have it right in Australia. So it's a really good indication of whether or not it's worthwhile to push it all the way forward.
Yeah. So here, what I've learned, historically, I built a business that was started here in Australia. I was successful in scaling it globally, but it was always about protecting the backyard, right? If we could get it right in Melbourne, Australia, and roll it to Sydney, Australia, and then Brisbane, so on and so forth.
Don't forget WA; those guys are important.
So on and so forth.
And South Australia.
Then pushing it beyond Australia should bring you incremental. But the one thing I definitely want to make sure everyone's clear on, it's definitely not a cut and paste model, right? So it might be a cut and paste model to scale domestically, but when it comes to international, there's so many different things.
Couldn't agree more.
Huge opportunities, huge upside. I'm going to link Ben's details in the description. Last thing, Gary Vee was here last week.
Mm-hmm.
You were one of the very fortunate people that were able to go and see him. What did you think?
So what I thought was, I had to be honest, we went to that event and we were stuck the entire day waiting for Gary Vee to come on.
Sure.
I think I call him for what he is. He's a celebrity.
Yep.
If you like any sort of band or singer, you'll go wait all day, you'll get tickets to go see them. And can you become a great singer because you go see them? No. Are you inspired by the music? Yes. So I would say Gary Vee is another one of those celebrities. I don't find that it's incredible how he stands there and he answers people's questions the way he does. People idolize him. People were handing him presents.
Sure.
When I was standing there with a microphone, I was like, it had jelly legs. Like I couldn't even say. I was starstruck. But that's the extent of what it is. And I think my experience, it shows me that it's an incredible thing to be able to achieve that, but ultimately, you've got to draw it back somewhere. So you've got to draw it back to a company. You've got to draw it back to an actual outcome, because to become a celebrity is great, but if you're not affecting change in the world as a result of what you're doing, and you're just there to influence and to be a celebrity, there isn't much there to gain. That's exactly what I asked him. I said, is there a point of influencing? I said to him, are you a fan of influencers? And it was like, I'm a huge fucking fan. Like he loves that in every.
But didn't he shoot down LinkedIn specifically?
So he said the LinkedIn influencer program is nothing. Like you get that little brand on the top left of your screen that is the person is an official LinkedIn influencer. I love LinkedIn because every single day, without fail, I post content, and the content that I post brings me new people that I get to connect to every single day. Today, I received a message on my iPhone from someone random saying to me, he sent me a request. I responded to the request, and he said, "Thank you so much for we had a chat."
Awesome. And
then whether or not it deploys directly to my business, maybe they don't need government funding incentives. Maybe they're already covered. But the mentality of moving quickly and learning about a lot of people, that's only going to make you better. And your networking, your actual network is your net worth. Yep. And I think that's a very important message for everyone. I live with that.
I love that. We're going to end it there.
Cool.
Ben's details will be in the links and descriptions below. This is the awkward part of the segment. Tomorrow, we have, actually before I say awkward part of the segment where Ben sits here and I go turn off the iPad, tomorrow we have Alex Baker from Uber, who resides on the 4th floor here at Creative Cubes. Actually, Uber Eats division for Melbourne is here. So she'll be on the program, and then later on during the week we have a couple of other awesome guests I'll bring you up to speed on that. Ben, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Before we go, Toby, I just want to say that being here and being part of Creative Cubes for me is nothing like I've experienced anywhere else. And I've been doing a lot of traveling around the co-working spaces and visiting different ecosystems. And it's really a credit to you guys, the happiness team, and everybody who's here. The attention to detail and the interest in really revolutionising co-working and facilitating real innovation. You walk into this place and it reeks of that. So well done, and I can't wait to see how you continue to roll it out and continue doing the amazing things that you're doing.
I appreciate that. Building 2 is coming to Hawthorne. We are going to scale Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth over the next coming years.
Awesome.
But I'm glad. I'm addicted to being here. I just get such honest goosebumps from the energy in the building, from the people in the building, characters like Ben, and some of the amazing stuff that he's doing with his companies and people gaining from stuff that's out there. You just need to be in the know. All right, awkward part.
Cheers, guys. It's only awkward if you make it awkward.
It's awkward.